How are we? Today we are sorting that out there, that area. So join me today. My name's Linda and this is my kitchen garden. So let me talk you through what I'm going to do today. This is my back area of my garden. It's just a very small area, and on one side I've got brassicas and on the other side I've got my broad beans. So today I need to get rid of all my broad beans out of this area, so I'm just fencing off the area so the dogs can't get to it, making it easy for me to access. Now the best way for me personally, what I want to do with these broad beans is I'm going to have to strip them because there's still a lot of broad beans on there. So we'll get all those off, and I'm going to cut them down at the base, because broad beans and fava beans and field beans are known as green manure. So if you cut them off at the base, then you're going to leave a good lot of nutrients in the ground, and the nitrogen on the bottom of those roots will feed my next planters in there, because I'm going to plant red cabbage in there today. So I'm chopping them all down, and then I'm going to chop them all up, but I'm not going to throw them away. I'm keeping them, because what I want them to do is I'm going to put them down the side of the bed. My thought process is that they're going to rot down and provide nutrients as it rains back into the ground. So it's like a chop and drop type of technique, but I'm not going to mulch them under my plants. I'm going to put them at the side so that those nutrients go back in the ground and hopefully feed the roots of my cabbages. Well, that's my theory anyway. Don't know whether it'll work, but that's what I'm going to try. As you can see, there's an awful lot of beans on here, so I've had a tremendous harvest from this. So I will be doing this again next year. I don't know whether I'm going to do it as big, because I have that many beans off it this year. I'm just struggling to eat them. And yes, I can freeze them, but with broad beans I like to eat them fresh, and I pick them small as well. I don't wait for them to get big, because I don't like the leathery outside, and it's a bit of a faff having to take the bean out of the middle. But I do like them small, and it gets bitter the outside of there's two beans, there's a bean in a bean, and the outer bean becomes a bit bitter as it gets bigger, but they're sweet when they're small, so I try to pick them all small. I don't like them when they get big. So like I say, I don't know whether I'm going to do it as big. I might do half next year and put the back half of corn. So I might do half a corn at the back, and then something else, and then beans at the front, broad beans at the front, and then when I take them out I'll put something else there. So as you can see, I'm packing all the broad beans. I'm going to pack all the broad beans that I've chopped down all along the back fence there. So they'll all rot down. The rain will put all the nutrients into the ground, which will feed that area. Probably even feed next door's area, but it'll feed that area, and that's what I'm trying to achieve. Then I'm just going to give it a whiz over with the hoe and get all the weeds up. There's quite a lot of weeds underneath all them, so I'll get all the weeds up and I'll prep the bed now, the area, so that I can get it nice for my cabbages. Now this area is lovely and firm. Cabbages and brassicas like firm ground. They're not really into soft compost, so it's a really hard area. This is it's quite stony as well. I used to have gravel, so I can't grow carrots in this area because there's too many stones in it, but brassicas won't mind that. They won't bother about that, and it is a very firm area. I'm going to put a couple of bags of compost on here just to give it some extra nutrition, just so that these cabbages, these red cabbages, can get some roots in and give them a bit of support and a bit of nutrition while they're actually rooting. I don't want to go overboard, so I'm just going to put 2 bags of compost because this area has been manured before I put the broad beans in, and they've got the nutrients from the broad bean roots that I've left in, remember. So I don't want to overboard it because that may stall the actual cabbages from growing, and I don't want to do that. Now, because I'm putting cabbages with the brassica family and we're still in that time of year for the butterflies, I'm going to hoop this area, so I'm just going to put I'm going to put high hoops in, so I'm just going to put some canes in and then put the hoops over the canes so that the bed sits higher, the hoops sit higher than the actual normal size of a hoop, if you're with me. And then I'm just going to tie some canes across the top just so that my netting doesn't sag. These red cabbages I sown early this year, and I've sown them a bit too early, to be honest, but I've been potting them on to keep them going because I didn't want them to get root bound in, you know, where the roots go extremely tight in the pot. So I've managed to keep the roots relatively okay, but they're desperate to go out. They were really ready to go in. So they'll be very happy now that they've got a bit of room to move about. Now I haven't got a lot of space. Now cabbages, as you know, can grow very big, and I haven't got a lot of space. These red cabbages are going to be for pickling, so they're a head cabbage and they form a tight head, and I just want them for red cabbage pickling, so they're all going to be for pickling. So I'm not really bothered about them being giant. I'm not that fussed about that. So I'm going to try and get them in as close as I can without compromising the actual too much of the actual size. I like to take all the bottom leaves off the cabbages so that the slugs aren't tempted, because slugs, as you know, slugs and snails absolutely love the brassicas, as most insects do, to be fair. But if you leave the leaves trailing on the floor, then they're more likely to give a little platform for the snails and the slugs to climb up. I don't have massive problems, as I've told you, with slugs because I have frogs, and this area is rife with frogs. I have absolutely loads. I get virtually no snails at all in this, no slugs at all, but I do get snails, so I need to make sure that I take off all the bottom leaves so there's no leaves actually touching the ground. Then I'm going to put this netting on. This net is actually a net curtain, so it's a black overhanging net curtain, because the netting that I was buying from the garden centre was extremely expensive to get black, and I didn't want white. I just think white's a bit ugly. It's okay for an allotment, but not from a gardener. I wanted to see my vegetables. When you put white on, you can't necessarily see. So I thought maybe a net curtain, and you know what, it's worked absolutely brilliantly. It stops the insects from getting in, and it's just a black net curtain that hangs over the bed. I think it's a mosquito type net, and this has worked absolutely brilliant for me. That's it for this one. You take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now. Bye.